Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to our video series, your go-to guide to finding your new home. Today, Karina and I are going to take you into a deep dive into two new topics, selecting your agent and getting a pre-approval. So as we mentioned in our previous video, selecting your agent is the first important decision that you're going to be making in this process. This is a business decision, and it's crucial to find an agent who's the best fit for you. Who's going to listen to your needs? Who's going to help you find the right place? And who's going to negotiate the best price on your behalf for the property that you want? During our first meeting, whether virtual or in person, we're going to review these things and your goals. So what type of property are you looking for? Are you looking for a condo, a single family, or is this an investment property? Where do you see yourself living? What locations and neighborhoods do you have in mind? What kind of space do you need? How many bedrooms do you need? Bathrooms? Is parking important to you? Do you need outdoor space? This is our time to hear what you're looking for, as well as refine your criteria to find you the home of your dreams. But most importantly, this is also your time to interview us. Are we the right fit for you?
When selecting an agent to represent you, it is important that you are comfortable with this person. You want someone who will listen to you, ask the right questions, and professionally educate you on the market. We study the market daily, and our job is to get you the best price for the home that you want with the fewest hassles and in the time frame that you need. The next question that we get from potential clients is, well, how much are you going to charge me for this? How much am I paying you? And generally the answer is nothing. This would always be disclosed to you ahead of time, but usually the seller pays a commission of both the listing agents and the buyer's agent. Some of the costs that you would incur, for example, will be your attorney's fees and other general closing costs, but more on those later. In Massachusetts, though, we have what is called a mandatory agency disclosure form, and this form describes who works for whom. 100% of our buyers' clients at Lina Kriva Homes choose buyer agency. And this is to ensure that we are representing only you and your interests and not those of the seller. Their designated agents is representing them, and we are representing you.
So this next portion of our consultation touches on the other topic of this video, which is getting your pre-approval. So here to help us break this down is one of our preferred lenders, Jonathan Dietz with Bank of England. Hey, Jonathan.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're really happy to have you here because sometimes when we meet with our clients, they have an idea of what they think they can afford and they've been looking at different homes online. But once we bring up the pre-approval process to them, that comes with a lot of questions, which is understandable. Obviously, the first being, what even is a pre-approval?
Well, to address your first question, there are a lot of questions as one goes through the mortgage process. And there are no silly or dumb questions. The pre-approval process is a simple exercise that should be both consultative as well as educational to the borrowers. And the exercise is simply taking a look at their income, assets, and liabilities to determine what in fact they can afford and what they're comfortable with in terms of their overall monthly payment as part of that purchase price.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. So let's say right now, Jonathan, with the whole buzz of the low record interest rates that we're currently having, if I'm a new buyer and I'm just curious about getting a pre-approval, what do I need to send you for me just to have an idea?
Sure. So if you are employed by an employer and paid on a W-2, we'd simply request 2 years of W-2s. 30 days of current pay stubs, a bank statement to show evidence of down payment, and a copy of your driver's license. With that, we can open a loan file with name, address, and social security. We can pull your credit score and start to build out that file, again, based upon the assets and the liabilities as well as the income that we're seeing. If you are a self-employed borrower, the only change to that is that we would request 2 years of tax returns.
Got it. And considering that, let's say buyers usually just are renters currently, just to have an idea, how much would that be like monthly? Like, can you also help me with that to see how much I can afford?
Absolutely. That's another great byproduct of the pre-approval process, is that we can model for you what that monthly payment might look like at a certain price point.
Right.
So if I'm comfortable right now with a $2,500 payment because I'm a renter, am I going to be comfortable paying $3,200 for this proposed property because that's what it's going to look like in terms of my overall monthly mortgage payment? There are also a couple factors that we need to look at. We need to look at property taxes. Property taxes in Newton are going to be very different than property taxes in West Roxbury.
Correct.
We'll also need to look at, overall, if you're looking at a condo, HOA dues, homeowners association dues, and, factor in what kind of insurance, homeowners insurance might be required for the property as well, if that's a home versus a condo.
So even besides just the monthly payments, how much would you suggest, if there even is a suggestion, that people need to be saving in order to buy a home? I feel like we get that question a lot. Everyone's like, I feel like I don't have enough saved to put down. And how do I know how much my interest rate's going to be? And how much money do you really need to buy a home?
Sure. Well, your interest rate is going to be determined based upon a couple of different factors. Most importantly, your FICO score, the amount of down payment that you have. But it's also a factor of what the different, I guess, in terms of down payment, what the various types of loan programs are that are applicable for your specific situation. It's a misstatement that the borrower needs to have 25% down, 20% down. Borrowers can put down as little as 3% on some of the first-time homebuyer programs. Maybe as little as 3.5% for some of the government programs. So that's another byproduct of the overall pre-approval process, is determining not only what you can afford, but what's the most advantageous loan program for you.
And then how do you decide what's the best type of mortgage for you? Like, what's the difference between a fixed rate mortgage and what's the difference with an adjustable rate mortgage?
Sure, a fixed rate mortgage is just that. It's fixed for a period of time. Whether that's a 15-year fixed rate, or most first-time home buyers enter into a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. An adjustable rate mortgage, or an ARM, is that a mortgage that is fixed for some period of time, but then is adjustable after that. A general rule of thumb is that the borrower should estimate their true closing costs as 1% of the loan. Closing costs are generally associated with the attorney's fees and those fees that are actually due at closing. But we also have to account for what are referred to as prepaid and escrows, meaning what are the prepaid taxes that are due on the property at closing and escrowed for, as well as having a reserve for homeowners insurance, generally 1 year plus a couple of months of homeowners insurance would need to be paid at closing as well.
Got it. And this next one is one of my favorite topics, which is the credit scores. And we often get buyers asking us, like, should I be doing anything throughout the process to improve my credit score? For example, should I be closing credit cards? What's your advice on that?
Our answer is to do nothing, and please pay all of your bills on time. Do nothing is a strong statement, but so often we see people who are interested in going out and buying furnishings or a new TV, or new things for their home, and that could have a serious impact on their credit card. We recently had a borrower who harmlessly thought it was okay to consolidate down 3 of her credit cards just before closing. That in effect had her opening a new line of credit, which was viewed negatively. So again, please follow the do's and don'ts of the mortgage process, and please pay all your bills on time.
So is there anything else, Jonathan, that you think could delay someone's closing? I think that's always a big worry, especially right now, that things may get pushed back or delayed.
Sure. Well, delays are inherent in life. The delays come, when you're taking the MBTA. There are flight delays if you're going on a trip. Delays are part of life, but probably the best way to insulate yourself against any delays is to surround yourself with a good team. From your realtor to your lender to attorneys, we take a very team-based and consultative approach to the purchase process, from pre-approval through closing. And I think that's one of the best ways you can minimize any delays.
Great. Well, so I know that we touched on quite a bit here, but is there anything else that you think is important for people to know right now? Maybe any words of wisdom you have given the current COVID climate or anything like that?
Contact your lender early. Be in touch with your lender, because if you were previously pre-approved, that pre-approval may no longer be valid. And stay in close contact with both your lender and your realtor as you go through the purchase price, because what you were approved for yesterday may not be a valid pre-approval for today.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jonathan. We really appreciate it. We know you're very busy.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
We look forward to seeing you again in a few weeks when we talk mortgage commitments and appraisals.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. If you have any additional questions on this pre-approval process, we encourage you to keep submitting them, as we will be speaking with Jonathan again in a couple of weeks. Next week, our deep dive topic is making an offer. So please send in your questions via comment below, DM, or email us directly at info@linacrivahomes.com.
Thanks. We can't wait to hear from you.
Thank you.